Welcome to One on One with Mitch Lafon. Joining me on this episode from the band Billy Talent, it is bassist John Gallant. We talk about their new album Afraid of Heights. And on the other side, we have Jesse James Dupree of Jackal talking about their new album Rowyco. Before you check that out, please head over to Twitter and check me out at Mitch Lafon, MITCHLAFON, and on Facebook, One on One Mitch Lafon. If you care to support the podcast, I do have a PayPal link. It is paypal.me/Mitch Lafon. And now, here is the one, the only, bassist for Billy Talent, John Gallant. We are speaking with John from the band Billy Talent. The new album is Afraid of Heights. Absolute pleasure to talk to you. And I have to say, I saw you in Toronto open up for Guns N' Roses. That was an absolutely spectacular evening. Let's start there. How was that for you to be on that bill?
Oh, it was very, very, very cool. Not only was it in Toronto and playing at the Sky Dome, which is something that we never imagined we would get an opportunity to do. It was also opening for Guns N' Roses, which for me was kind of a full circle thing because they're kind of the reason why I started playing bass.
Yeah, what Duff does on bass is fantastic. So let's talk about Afraid of Heights. First album in 4 years. Was that sort of a natural kind of hiatus to take after the album touring cycle for Dead Silence, or was it the band just needed some kind of a break?
Generally, our albums have come out in 3-year cycles, and when we came off the road from Dead Silence, we took a little bit of a rest, but we kind of got writing almost right away, and we switched managers, and the new manager convinced us to release the Greatest Hits record, which kind of took some time, and then then it took about another year after that to finish up Afraid of Heights. So we were kind of busy the whole time, but it was just about and we've always just kind of approached it as when the songs are ready to go, then we'll get into the studio.
Well, then how do you know when a song is ready to go in terms of what you do?
Well, our guitar player Ian is definitely the lead creative mind behind the band, and over the years we've been developing our own studio and building our own studio, and he's in there all the time working and demoing and recording songs, and so. It starts there, and then we work on the songs from there, and, there comes a point where you listen to a song, and you're like, wow, this is awesome, and it's done, and then when you go to record the final copy, usually it's just little tiny tweaks instead of, complete big ones. So that's how we've always approached things, and then when we got, 12 songs that we're really excited about, we work on them until we feel that they're as good as they can possibly be.
The band has been around since '93 in one form or another. This is the first recording without Aaron. Sorry, there's a lot of noise on the line. Without Aaron.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm outside, and I'm trying to. I'm running all these errands, getting ready for. I leave to go to Australia today, and I just got caught in a park when.
There you go.
Stephanie called me here. So.
But let's talk about recording without Aaron for the first time. Was that a difficult decision to make, to say, okay, let's move forward at this point?
Yeah, it was, we would never have made a decision like that unless Aaron was completely 100% supportive and behind it. And we had noticed he was having a lot of struggles when we were playing live shows, and then he kind of acknowledged the fact that he was having a relapse, and he was hoping it would just kind of pass over. And when that didn't happen, he really started to get into some heavy testing and all that kind of stuff, and eventually even got worse. So it came to the point where we had to decide whether or not we were just going to wait or decide to come up with a different plan. And so Aaron came to us one day, and he didn't want to have his illness holding the band back, or he didn't want to have that on his head either. So he encouraged us to keep going, and unanimously we all thought of Jordan. So it was an easy choice once we made that choice, but it was awful. All of it is that whole situation has been terrible for the band. You know, Aaron is our brother, and we're hoping, and he's working as hard as he can with the whole team of people to try and get back. So.
Yeah, and I certainly hope he does. Is it strange for you though, in terms of sonics, to have a different drummer in the background? Because, like it or not, everybody has a signature style, the way they do fills, the way they hit a cymbal. Does that sort of change the sound of Billy Talent for you?
And you're totally right there. And one thing that was, all the drum parts had been written, and we had even had versions of pretty much all of our songs with programmed drums and stuff like that. So Jordan could just kind of learn them quickly, and you know, there wouldn't be too much of a whole different type of influence on the songs. It was still Billy Talent. So that part was a little bit, you know, easier because the songs sound like Aaron, because all those drum parts were written when Aaron was still behind the kit. And then, but with live, there's differences, and we're still adjusting to it. But Jordan is a fantastic drummer, and he's been so sensitive to the situation. He's aware of all that kind of stuff too. So, you know, he's trying to keep it as Billy Talent as he possibly can. But it's also a cool thing to have his flavor of drumming back there. You know, it's definitely something different, and it's not nothing to be negative about it. We try to look at everything in a positive way, and playing with Jordan has been a good experience.
Yeah, well, listen, from what I saw at the Rogers Center in July, it certainly seems to be working out. On the Pez Watouche album, you had a hidden track of a Tragically Hip song, "The New Orleans is Sinking," and we all know that Gord Downey is going through something. Possible to give me a quick comment on Gord and what the Tragically Hip means to you? Obviously, since you covered them, you must love the band.
Yeah, well, and you know, when we covered that song, we did it as a tongue-in-cheek thing, because we would be playing bars and people would just be indifferent to us, so we would start playing the opening riff to New Orleans is Sinking, and then then we would turn it into a punk rock song, and everybody would kind of either be angry or they'd laugh. But yeah, the hip does mean a lot to us, and it's just one of those seminal bands that, you know, as a musician, they affected you, and as a kid growing up in Canada who was into rock music, like it was the Tragically Hip. Those were songs we learned at the beginning, and they just, you know, and as they grew, they turned into something so much more than just a rock band. Like they're poetic by nature, and their songs are very diverse, and I just associate so many experiences with the Tragically Hip. And when I found out that news, I was gutted. You know, I was sad about David Bowie and Prince and all that kind of stuff, but this was something that it felt more personal and way closer to home. And like I cried. It was it makes me emotional thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because for all of us, because I'm in Montreal, I'm a Canadian too, there is that emotional connection to the local bands, right? If something happens to you or to Honeymoon Suite or to April Wine, you sort of go, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know, there's something different about the Tragically Hip, because I don't know, I think they're more of a representation of Canada than anybody else. You know, whether it be Rush or Nickelback or anything, they're kind of like, you know, they're almost like a band. They're almost like a Bob Marley, where anybody who knows them likes them. Like nobody doesn't like Bob Marley, and it's almost the same way with the Hip. You know, I can't think of anybody that dislikes the Hip or hates the Hip or anything like that. They're just that band that connected with the entire country.
Yeah, they really did. So, not to be disrespectful to Gord and stuff, let me get back to Afraid of Heights. It's the second album produced by Ian. Talk to me about using the band member to produce an album. What are the the advantages of that, and of course, what are some of the drawbacks of having it being self-produced?
Well, the advantages are definitely Ian, right from the start of our band's history, has thought big picture and had a whole career in mind. So, what better person to steer the ship than somebody who's been thinking of steering the ship his whole life? And not only that, he's just such an incredible talent in terms of songwriting, and now with production, he's even with that. So, there's nobody in the world that could make us sound the way we want better than Ian. So for us, the choice was obvious, and all the advantages outweighed the negatives. That being said, there are some negatives because, it is when there's only when there's no external voice, sometimes you can get caught up in yourself, right? So you don't know. Sometimes you can get lost about knowing what is great and what is just good, or what might plainly be bad, and you just don't see it because you're too close to it. So an outside oftentimes can help bring out things that you might not have seen before.
Well, and that is.
But other than that, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, but that is one of the disadvantages, or one of the trappings, is that you don't have that external voice and that external ear to say, you could try this, you could try that, and so that can be dangerous for some bands.
Yes, definitely. I think what separates us now, and at the point of where we are in our career, is that we're just smarter and we're more aware, and we can navigate through those waters a little bit easier than we could have when we were starting out.
Do you see him producing the next new Billy Talent album, or he's done two and now maybe we'll think of an outside producer, or have you even thought of doing one of the albums?
After this album, Ian said that he didn't want to do another one that was kind of also in the heat of it all, when he's been working 14-hour days for 4 months straight. So I have a feeling that he'll want to do it again when it comes around, because his songs are his babies in a way, and he wants to be the one that produces it. But I don't know. We don't shut down ourselves to any kind of ideas. I don't think I would like to produce it. I don't think I would have the technical savvy to do a better job than Ian. But it would be a different type of voice, that's for sure. We would always be open to ideas, but I don't know. That's a good question. Right now, this album just came out a week ago, so we're swimming in that.
Yeah, we're still swimming in that. So let's look at the band's chronology. I mean, you obviously started off as Pez in '93, and there was sort of this slow burn, and then in the last, 5, 6, 7 years, the band has really sort of raised their profile. In those early days, as you were sort of navigating it all, were there any times where you just said, wow, this is way too hard. Let's try something else, or what kept you going, in those lean years?
Well, for the first 5 or 6 years, it was just about being young and being in a band and having fun and doing things, and then we started making cassette tapes and we're selling them at shows, and we're getting pretty good local receptions and stuff like that. And then we always thought we had really good opportunity and good potential as a band. It wasn't until we were in our earlier to mid 20s where it was harder to keep things together, because everybody has to get a job at that point in their lives. We're paying rent, living in the city. Life just starts to pull you away from any kind of dreams you have. That's just a natural progression of things. So it was very hard to keep it together through those years, and we had moments where I had left the band for a few months, and they made an effort to replace me, but it never happened. But I had reached a point in my life where I just couldn't do the band and I needed a 3 or 4 month window to clear a whole bunch of stuff. And luckily, when I was done all that, I was able to come back.
Well,
Ian even moved to Montreal for a year and was working in Montreal, and he would come back to Toronto to rehearse or to play a gig, but we were barely a band for a whole year. So it was really challenging. And then he moved back to Toronto, and we kind of had a rebirth. He had written some new songs. We changed our name, and you know, we started to get a little buzz in the city. And I always knew that if we ever got a foot in the door, nobody would be able to close it on us. And finally, we did. And now we're here.
Yeah, I do want to ask you quickly about the name change. That was a whole sort of legal minefield for you for a while. Talk to me about that. Was that sort of a wake-up call that, oh, wow, you know, it's not just a band, it's a brand, and we've got to curate it and take care of it? And was that sort of shocking that you got those papers that said, you can't use this name?
No. At the time, we were kind of putting it all picking up all the pieces to something that we felt was broken. And we didn't like the name, and it was good timing for us, and we had a rebirth, and that was almost kind of the rebirth of the band, because when we changed it to Billy Talent, we felt like we could just be different, and we had written songs like Try Honesty and Cut the Curtains, and we were like, this is the band that we're supposed to be. We finally found our voice, and we changed our name, and we decided that we were going to stick to that one style, and it was a really good opportunity more than anything.
So it was kind of a fortuitous thing, like, oh yeah, hey, we'll have to change our name. In Canada, when especially whenever we change governments, there's always a lot of talk about CanCon, and for people who are going to listen in the States, and that's Canadian content rules. How have they affected Billy Talent? Is that something that you support, that there should be, I don't want to say forced radio play, but I can't think of another word at this point, or is it something that you go, let the competition rule?
I think it's awesome. If
Okay.
it wasn't for that, I would have never have heard bands like Hardship Post or Gandharvas or maybe even a band like Alexis on Fire. Or my band definitely would not be where we are. I think in the world without the help of CanCon. And
Right.
To me, it's a part of it. It supports the artistic culture of Canada, and internationally, we produce the best musicians in the world, the best bands in all genres. We have the top. We're the top. Like, we got Justin Bieber in pop, we got Drake in hip hop, we got Celine Dion in adult contemporary. We come up with good artists.
Listen, and Nickelback does the rock thing good. So that's what I was going to ask you then.
Yeah.
How much of a difference has it made to your career? And you sort of answered it there, but at the same time, is there anything about it that you would change? Because it has been around for 30 or 40 or whatever amount of years. Everything needs to be retweaked once in a while. No?
I don't want it to be changed. I think it's something that separates us from like a complete absorption into American pop culture. So I feel like, yes, keep it alive. We need Canadian people to feel like they can get there.
Okay. And
when you hear your nephew's band on the radio, and maybe he got there because of CanCon or whatever, but that's just encouraging, and it's better than hearing Avenged Sevenfold.
Right.
We never hear on Canadian radio, but that's played on American radio. And because of the statistics and the way marketing and all the bullshit of the business world works, that's where people will get the statistics, because everybody just thinks Canadians are American. So Canadian radio stations will just run off of these playlists that come from a whole entire different culture. And then automatically you're starting to pull away from your own culture.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of people call Canadians just cold Americans, right? Because we're always in the snow.
Yeah, or American light.
American light, but we know we're better. The tour runs till almost Christmas time, so you're doing Australia and Europe and all kinds of stuff. You didn't do Heavy Montreal this year, which was a change. Where do you see yourselves in 2017 in terms of continuing working this album cycle?
Well, we're working on our Canadian tour right now, and we want to have an announcement. We were trying to figure out the whole lineup, and everything like that. So that's coming. That's going to happen. The Canadian tour will be in probably early February, late January, in and around that time frame. And then after that, there'll probably be some more U.S. touring. Next summer, we'll do a lot of European festivals again, and I would love to hopefully do some sort of other Canadian stuff. And but other than that, we'll be touring next year.
All the way through.
Probably all the way up until the fall.
Yeah, and I'll finish on this because I see our time's running out. In terms of the American market, how easy or difficult has it been for Billy Talent to establish themselves in that market?
It's been pretty difficult for us down there. It's just one of those things where we've never been able to get any additional kind of support down there. So whatever we've accomplished, it's just been basically through touring. And because we've had such a higher level of success in Europe, we've spent a lot of time going back to Europe and expanding that fan base. So it's been tough down there. We're not quitting. We've got a U.S. tour in September, so we'll see how that goes.
There you go, John. Great pleasure. Enjoy Australia. I certainly wish I could go with you. And
thanks, man.
And we'll talk again when you get back to Canada, and we'll do this again.
Sounds good. Great interview.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
And there you have it, folks. My interview with John Gallant of the band Billy Talent. The new album is Afraid of Heights. And with that, let us move on over to Jesse James Dupree of the band Jackal. Their new album is Rowyco. We talk about that and a lot more. And without further ado, here is the one, the only, Jesse James Dupree. We are speaking with Jesse James Dupree of the band Jackal. The new album is... Well, you tell me what it's called. It's Rowyco? Is that how you pronounce it?
Well, different people say it different ways, but I just say Rowyco. But
Rowyco? Okay.
Rowyco, Rowyco, and of course, you have to see the album cover for it to all make sense, and then figure out what it means. But it's a big slice of rock, if you ask me. I mean, the whole record is something that I'm very proud of.
Well, in fact, let's talk about the sound because, you're putting it out, I guess, through Mighty Loud, which is your own label, right?
Yeah, through the Universal In Grooves distribution, yes. With
the distribution.
Yeah.
Jackal is not concerned about radio play or whatever. You do what you want to do. So tell me what motivates you to keep going and keep the songs coming. And is it nice to not have that pressure of an AOR guy saying, well, you need more keyboards on this? I mean, talk to me about that.
Well, I actually miss working with John Kalodner at Gallant. I mean, as you know, he's a legendary guy, just a total badass. And I'll just tell you straight up, he's my Jesus. And he made all my dreams come true. And I mean, you work with somebody like that and you have all this success, and then it was not just us, but you see so many other bands that they've had the pleasure of working with him. You see the track record that he had, so you knew you had something great there. So I don't have I'll tell you straight up, I do miss having, somebody like that to work with. But now I just use the gauge of the people. We write the songs and we go out and, we test them live before we play them. I think that's the biggest critical thing is to road test the songs before you record them.
Yeah, I agree. Now, there is a thought from some musicians that if you do that, people will capture it and throw it up on YouTube, and it'll sort of spoil the magic. You're not concerned with that in any sense?
At this day and time, the cat's out of the bag. I mean, YouTube and iTunes and Spotify and whatever. I mean, all that stuff exists, and there's nothing you're really going to do about it. You accept that reality and you adapt and overcome. Times change. I mean, people that get complacent and stuff. It'd be wonderful if it was the record business was what it used to be when it was a fat, happy, magic time. When the record companies controlled the monopoly on delivering a quality product to the consumer, but those days are long gone.
Yeah, they're long gone. Now, the last album came out in 2012, Best in Show. What compelled you to get an album out for 2016? And do you want for the next release to get it out just a tad sooner?
It seems like a blink of an eye because, my years are going by so fast. And to think that it's been 4 years is just, it's hard for me to imagine because, it literally seems like that Best in Show record came out yesterday. And we just had so much going on around it, over that time, especially I've got the TV show, the Jesse James Bourbon, the Full Throttle Saloon. We do the Full Throttle Saloon Fest that where we take it on the road. Then, of course, the Full Throttle Saloon burning down last year, having to do the TV show and everything with, just all those different things. I'm seriously, my every day is so packed. 3 years go by and it seems like a minute,
Yeah. So
I think I live in dog years.
Now, I do want to talk to you about Full Throttle Saloon, but before then, I want to talk to you about some of the collaborations you've done over the years. A few years ago, you did a song called Just Like a Negro with DMC of the band Run DMC. Daryl McDaniels is one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. Just absolutely genuine nice. Talk to me about how that collaboration came about and a little bit about Daryl.
Well, as you said, Daryl is, he's one of the most down-to-earth, real guys ever, and just sweet as can be, man. And do everything you'd want, somebody that's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to be, He was recording in my studio, and my son said, "Hey, Daryl, DMC's in the studio. He wants you to come up and say hey to him." And so I went up and hung out, and we started talking, and then I played him some of the stuff I'd been working on. I played him Just Like a Negro, and he goes, "Man, you got to give me 16 bars on that." And I said, "Okay." And so we carved out 16 bars, and he laid it down. It's just kind of a thing that just fell together.
Yeah, that's funny because I sort of have a similar story. Just this year in 2016, I was interviewing him, and I was telling him that this band that I know called Slaves on Dope from Montreal loves him and wants to record, and he flew up to Montreal and recorded a song with them just like that. He just wants to play. Anyway, great guy. Another one was Brian Johnson, formerly of AC/DC, or currently, who knows. Kill the Sunshine from the Relentless album back in 2002, which in fact we did an interview together. Talk to me about how you got together with Brian and what your relationship with him is these days.
Well, Brian, I was invited by his wife, who was hosting a concert, a benefit concert for this old theater down in Florida where they live, and I got invited to come down and be part of that and sing, be one of the singers that set in with the this jam band they had. And, they had a house band that was kind of playing, backing up everybody, and different singers came in and sang and stuff. And so anyway, I went down and met with him, and, it was really cool, to hang out with him because it's Brian Johnson from AC/DC, but I didn't think anything would go past that. And next thing I know, I get a phone call from him going, "Hey, come down, let's write some songs together and hang at the house." It just kind of evolved, just from our initial meeting. And then one thing led to another, and he ended up coming out doing tour dates with us, and so he and I have become really good friends, and he he's been going through a lot with obviously with AC/DC, AC/DC them making the turns it's made, but I've just been staying in touch with him and being supportive. I was with him the last show he sang with him, I was there with him. So.
Now, he left the band because of hearing loss. How about you, over all the years of singing and doing the chainsaw and all that, how are you sort of holding up physically? Is your hearing okay? Is your voice, do you need to do anything special before you hit the stage, or how are you doing?
I wore an ear monitor for a short, one of those in-ears,
Right, the IEMs.
I wore an in-ear monitor for just a short while, and I could tell it was eating away at me, and so I quit using it. It just, for me, it just didn't make sense because I could tell that I was definitely, being affected by it. And so, but as far as singing, well, I've been very blessed. I got barbed wire vocal cords, and I don't warm up before I hit the stage. I just go out and it's either there or it's not.
Yeah. And most nights it is. Now, you haven't been to Canada in many years. Or in fact, when was the last time you were up here? Do we even remember? if ever?
God, it's been about 2 years ago, I guess, that we came in for a couple of days. Yeah.
Any plans to come back to the Great White North?
Well, I mean, we don't have anything booked right now, but I do plan on coming back there at some point for damn sure.
Now, in terms of supporting the new album with live shows, will there be a more extensive set? Because I Jackal over the years has done, I don't want to call them one-offs, but you've done shorter runs. Will there be a more extensive run?
Of concert dates?
Yeah.
God almighty, we've been touring our ass off this year.
Well, yeah, but we don't see it as much up here in Canada. That's the thing.
Oh, yes, so it's yeah. No, I mean, yes, I'm sorry, I wouldn't differentiate. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, we just got, we got to get up into Canada. I mean, we stay so busy with, there's so many festivals and stuff, that end up, pulling us in, and we are the kings of annual shows. I mean, it's really crazy. I mean, we get so many shows that we do year after year after year after year. And we go, and it's gotten to where it's almost, the year is almost cookie cutter, to where we know we're going to be at this festival this date, this festival this date, this festival, and because they bring us back, and we've actually, they'll dedicate a night to us. It'll be our night, like every year in Ohio, in Sandusky up there in Ohio festival they have up there. I'm there every year on the Thursday night. Same thing with, out in Colorado, every year on the Saturday night for Labor Day. Just these annual events that we do. And it Sturgis, of course, on the Thursday night every year. It's a Full Throttle Saloon.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Full Throttle Saloon. How did you originally get involved in the bar? And tell me how you decided to get that worked into a TV show in a reality series.
Well, I got booked in to play the Full Throttle Saloon on a solo record I was doing back in '99, I guess it was, and Michael was just starting to build the bar at that point. He and I made fast friends, and we started working together, and then we ended up partnering up. And 20 years later, we're still going strong. The Full Throttle Saloon was, it's beyond Thunderdome for people who love badass motorcycles, beautiful women, and a cold belly washer. And we started, talking about what a great TV show it would be, and I was able to, get it on the air. For 6 seasons, and you can actually go to YouTube right now on the Full Throttle Saloon TV, Full Throttle Saloon TV. See, on Facebook or something like that, you can link to it, or you can just go to YouTube, and and you can check out this last season's episodes that had all the footage of the fire when the place burnt down, and it was just pretty amazing footage that we got, but very sad. But the Full Throttle burnt down, and we cried for about a month or so, and then picked ourselves back up. And now we've moved down the road about 5 miles from the original location. We bought 600 acres instead of the 30 that we were on. We're on 600 now. And we have, with 600 acres, we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool, a convenience store. We have the Full Throttle Saloon, of course. And it's just a badass place, and we're still working on it. Over the next 5 years, it's going to turn into something really special too.
So talk to me about the emotion that you had when you got the call that it had burnt down to the ground.
I was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, playing Jackal shows, and Michael called and told me that the bar was burning down. We watched it burn down over our phone, and then at 5:30 in the morning, I rented a car from the Hertz place in Jackson Hole, drove 550 miles to Sturgis, and met him because he had to come in from Tennessee, and we just stood there and cried. Man, it's devastating. I mean, it was like losing a family member.
It really must be, and from what I understood, when fire investigators got there at first, they somewhat were suspicious that it was some kind of for the insurance money kind of fire, right? I mean,
we didn't even have any insurance, so right. I mean, there was no fire insurance.
But that's got to be even more devastating. Here's your baby burning to the ground, and then the first thing is you're suspected of doing something crooked, and it's like, Jesus Christ.
There's always those a-holes out there that they want to go to the negative automatically, or it's just sad the way people are. But I'd say that was just a small percentage. We had over 3.5 million people hit the Facebook page as soon as the fire happened. People offered to come and help and rebuild, and for the most part, people are good. There's more good people out there than there are, those kind of people. So it's all good.
Yeah, it really is. Now the show was on for 6 seasons. You're rebuilding. Will there be a 7th season?
I don't know. We know not this year because we didn't know we were going to get this place in time to commit to a network, but we'll figure something out. And, as far as, what the next step is, right now we just got to get this bar open.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Now, you mentioned that you had done this solo album back in '99. You've got the new Jackal out now. Are you still going to be doing solo records, or is that something that, I need to concentrate on Jackal for now?
Well, I am just concentrating on Jackal for now, but I've done 2 solo records over the years, and I'll probably do another one at some point. But I mean, it's not. I let things happen when it feels right. I don't do those things based on a schedule. I do it whenever I've got the material and it feels like something that needs to be done.
Talk to me a little bit about the chainsaw use on stage. It's sort of become iconic and it's been represented through the media over the years. How did you decide to make that sort of a musical instrument or part of the act? What was the compelling moment that said, this sounds like a good idea?
I just carried a chainsaw into a bar that we used to play before we had a record out. We used to play at bars everywhere, and I carried a chainsaw in one night and was cutting a bunch of stuff up, pissing the club owner off, and just raising hell, that kind of thing. And then at the end of the night, we were jamming around, had some guitar players sitting up playing some blues stuff, and I ended up just grabbing the chainsaw and took a lead break. And my dad was in the crowd, and he said, "You need to keep doing that," And I said, "Yeah, whatever." And the next day, he went and bought me a chainsaw and said, "Here, keep doing it." And it turned into the lumberjack song.
That's funny. Now, did you carry it around? Was that your way to make sure that bar owners paid the band? You had a chainsaw just as sort of...
No, but it was a damn sure way to have people talking.
That's funny. You also have the spirits, the alcohol. Talk to me about that, and what are your plans for expanding that business?
Well, we did 100,000 cases in a little over 3 years, and it's doing really great. The Jesse James bourbon, and then we got the Full Throttle Saloon moonshine, and we're just growing it, and word of mouth, and just putting it in people's mouths,
Yeah, it'd be nice to see at some point if you can get to like Sammy Hager's tequila and sell it off for $80 million or whatever he sold it for. Where do we go from here with Jackal and with Jesse? What are sort of the plans in the next couple of years? Where would you like to be?
God, man, I'm so blessed, and I'm happy where I am as far as, I get to do what I love doing. I'm making some great whiskey. I've got the Full Throttle Saloon is, getting back on its feet. I've got Jackal out touring. I've got a brand new record out called Rowyco. I got a Harley Davidson sitting in the garage. Life can't get no better.
No, it really can. You also had mentioned before that the music industry has changed over the years, and I think we're all aware of that. What for you do you find is the biggest change and the biggest challenge these days with getting a new record out there and getting people to listen?
It's just, the audiences are just more fragmented than ever, and they're just more fragmented, and so you just have to work harder to get the word out, and just diligently keep pushing. I've been trying to develop the Jackal Facebook page more, and of course I've been doing Instagram, Jesse James Dupree at Instagram, just getting, because that's the way that you have to reach people, and so I've been trying to get better at that, and I've actually been posting stuff from being out in Sturgis trying to get this bar open. I've actually been posting that stuff, on Instagram every day, and just giving people updates. It's just fun. I enjoy doing it.
And it's certainly different than back in the day where you just had a PR or a marketing arm of the record company.
Yeah, that's what's that's the difference. The audiences are fragmented, so you just have to, and it's up to the bands to be smart.
Yeah, and just work it. Now, Nigel, your son, had the Nigel Dupree band. How is that coming along? Is he still working on it? Because the last time he had an album was 2012, so 4 years ago. Is he still working the gigs?
Yeah, he's got playing with a band called Wayland right now, Wayland, and they're doing great. They'll be playing here in Sturgis here this week.
So there you go. Now, and of course, with the 600 acres over at the Full Throttle Saloon, I guess there's going to be, you're going to try to start booking festivals and start booking, like, are you going to get into the whole concert promotion and really use all that land?
Well, possibly. I mean, we got a lot of potential, and we talked about that stuff. But I'll be honest with you, right now we just want to get this place up.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll finish with this. Looking back on the career of Jackal, what are some of your highlights or the moment that you're proudest of?
God, man, there's just so many. I mean, whether it's Woodstock '94 or whether it's, the 100 shows in 50 days, whether it's setting the Guinness Book World Record for that, or
yeah.
I mean, every day is a precious day.
Yeah, that Guinness stuff, and there was also something like you had done like 21 shows in 24 hours or something like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Why would you want to go through that? By the way, I've always wanted to know. That's crazy.
We just did it in celebration of that greatest hits record that we put out called Choice Cuts.
Right.
And that was just, I mean, again, it's just something that we did.
That must have just been incredibly hard on the body to go through all that stuff. But there you go.
Yeah, it was brutal for sure.
Jesse, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's been way too long. I mean, our last interview went back to 2002. We definitely need to do more, and we definitely need to get you to Canada. I think that's important.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for the call. It's good talking to you again, and stay in touch with me.
Absolutely.
You got it, brother. Thanks
Cheers.
so much.
Bye-bye. And there you have it, folks. My interview with Jesse James Dupree of the band Jackal. The new album is Rowyco. Do yourself a favor and check that out. On the front of the episode, we had John Gallant of the band Billy Talent. Their new album is Afraid of Heights. I saw them open for Guns N' Roses and was pleasantly surprised. That's it, folks. That is all for this episode. Please check me out on Twitter at Mitch Lafon, on Facebook, one-on-one Mitch Lafon, and paypal.me/Mitch Lafon. Bye for now. Oh my.